This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show on 81215. Go on, it's interactive. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website. How's it going, guys?
Well, I would like to kick off.
Morning.
You're going to kick off, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to kick off. But, you know that's not an unprecedented move on my part.
Bit of aggro early doors.
Going to be a bit aggy, Hal. We've had a missive from Rabbi Danny Berkman,
Okay.
who says, thanks to Frank on the Radio. I should say we've had a number of people getting in touch about this. Thanks to Frank on the Radio and the Olympics, I have this song running through my head on repeat, or at least the two lines Frank is always playing. Can you suggest what that might be, Frank?
Well,
It's something you play often on the show, and a number of our readers have picked up that it's very timely.
Well, I could be wrong.
Okay.
I'm searching for it here. You know that bit where you're waiting for the producer to help you out,
That's all right.
and she just doesn't. She's looking at the hennaed hands as if she's just seen them. Okay, do you mean?
Morning, Tokyo.
Come on, Great Britain, let's hear you singing. Don't do the accent. Warning you. Someone, I felt a couple of people going into it, had to jump in quick.
Apologies, Rabbi.
Okay.
I enjoyed that. I like that.
There was a song for the Tokyo Olympics, I think by Long John Baldry. Do you remember Long John Baldry?
I do, yes.
Yeah, and he was a sort of British, he'd been like a jazz icon, and he brought a song out, and it was, I remember there was a bit when underneath, oh no, it might have been Mexico. Oh well, we'll just pretend that. Can we cut that, Paul?
No.
Live? Gulp? Exclamation mark? Okay.
Can I also...
Been reading a lot of comics.
Mexico, that's what it was, Mexico. You've got to be there. You've got to see the greatest show underneath the sun in Mexico. But Tokyo would fit.
It'll be lovely,
Yeah.
Frank. Don't worry, it's not the ballet link.
No, it's not that. I just think mentioning Long John Baldry is a plus for the show.
Can I also share this? I just like to, I like to start with some reader contributions. Gary Godwin.
Yeah.
Do you remember he's referenced a previous feature we've done? Are you both familiar with That'll Do?
Oh, yeah,
Do you recall?
that'll do in song lyrics.
Yeah.
Yes.
When they've just thought, as long as it sort of fits, it doesn't really matter if it's not very good.
Correct. So Gary Godwin says, in reference to a previous feature, I must draw your attention to a shocking That'll Do. In Jessie J's current chart topper, she states, I want you and me, there's no confusion, followed by breaking all our New Year's resolutions.
Oh,
Hashtag
wow.
that'll do.
I mean, you don't want to be breaking them in August. For us. And what were they? Celibacy and a life as a recluse. Okay.
So,
Jessie J's top of the charts at the moment.
That's good for her.
God, did I accidentally step into that time machine in my garden?
I didn't even know there were still charts. I thought they'd just given up on all that because of the streaming and the downloading.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I'll start moaning now about, it's 3 lines. We only made 48p because...
I try and look at the charts and I just get upset because it is that awful thing where I think, who's Ty Pyewinder?
Yeah, exactly.
Just people I don't know.
No, but, our parents before us, etc.,
Right.
they all had to go through it. Do you ever say they all sound the same?
Well, it reminds me, when my father, I think I told you this once, when Freeze, who sung A-E-I-O-U, my father came into the room one Christmas and we were watching Christmas Top of the Pops and he got very upset. And he said, 2,000 years of civilization. And what do we get? The Freeze.
Wow. What about my dad, who the night John Lennon died and the entire TV was given up to Beatles documentaries and conversations? He said he flicked through the channels. It was the Beatles on every. Well, I say every. I think all 3 channels. And my dad said, I don't know what the fuss is about. They weren't a patch on The Bachelors. And The Bachelors were a sort of an Irish show band who'd had about 3 or 4 hits. perhaps the only man on the planet who said of the Beatles they weren't a patch on The Bachelors. I wish I could give you an example of that. It was all sort of, I'm in heaven when I see you smile. It was that kind of stuff. So we're all different.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Can I tell you, I've been on the road this week.
I know, because I know we can't share it, but we're getting an awful lot of praise through for your night in Liverpool.
Oh, love it. Yeah, I had a fabulous night at Liverpool Empire, which was I was their first show for 16 months, which was quite an honour. You'd think they had got a Scouser, but they let me do it, like Sonia, the one-woman show or something.
Yeah.
But but it was it was great. So that was good. There was actually a moment where I did a Liverpool medley. So I sang, oh, Liverpool, oh, it's not the leaving of Liverpool, which ended with da da na 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 na, which is the theme tune for Brookside, which I was particularly proud of. Some got it, some didn't.
That will have gone well.
It was a great moment. So yeah, that was. It's one of the rare gigs I've done in my life when I've really laid into UNESCO. Oh. They're not a common target at comedy gigs, but they've just taken away Liverpool's World Heritage Centre. So there's a lot of hate in the city for UNESCO.
Oh, that was good local material. Well
yeah.
done.
It's good to capitalise on that as a comedian.
It's a great thing, and especially as they're sort of blaming Everton UNESCO. Because Everton's going to build a luxury new ground on the waterfront, and they think that's spoiling their World Heritage Site look.
Oh,
so I suggested Liverpool might build a new ground on the Great Wall of China, get their own back. Let's take all them sites down.
I find Scousers are very laid back when you lay into Everton. But
No, well, I didn't lay into Everton. Let me get that absolutely clear from the beginning. That would have been, I might as well just have gone on stage and said, shoot me. But there was no UNESCO defenders in the audience at all. I hope there weren't people who think, well, I'm very pro-UNESCO, but I don't want to speak up in this context because it's quite hostile. Mm-hmm. I don't really know who UNESCO are.
Ow.
But
it doesn't stop you goading them, does it?
Well, if they're going to start saying, you're a World Heritage Site, oh no, actually you're not. If it's that kind of what they used to call Indian giving in America, I think that that's not acceptable. Can I say we were on the motorway, and when I say we, it was. My support act, Gareth Richards, formerly of this show, he went solo on this trip. Mm-hmm. So it was just me and my tour manager, Omar. And
is he the one that wears the red boots?
He wears a pink Doc Martin boots.
Oh,
yes.
even better.
Yeah. And we were once spotted in a bar somewhere in the north of England, and it said, saw Frank Skinner in bar, and then there was about 12 lines about Omar and what he was wearing. So yeah, he's a colourful individual, and he wears some. We talked about cut-off points where you can wear dungarees. Omar, he don't care.
No,
he still wears. Anyway, so we were going along the motorway. We were behind a FedEx van, which had the big FedEx on the front. I was really hoping it was being driven by a former girlfriend of Roger Federer. If I'd been out with Roger Federer, I would have FedEx logos on every item that I owned.
Do you know what, Frank? I would go further than that. I would actually ensure that I could somehow date Roger Federer just so I could buy the van. Oh, can you imagine?
No, the problem is, of course, he's so incurably Swiss, Roger Federer, that he's probably never been out with anyone except his wife. But I do, that's what I do.
I've broken better men.
Yes. Anyway, I was pointing out the white arrow. Did you break their serve? I was pointing out the famous white arrow that sneaks into the FedEx. A long debate, do they mean the white arrow or do they not, that appears in the middle of the FedEx? And then Omar pointed out that someone had written, when you write in the dirt on the back of a van, someone had written under the FedEx logo, "It's not a race," which I really liked, undermining their whole purpose in life to get things there quickly. And so 8, 12, 15, what's the best thing you've ever seen written in, look, we can say on breakfast radio, that you've ever seen written in dirt on the back of a van? Because I thought that one was righty up there.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
What else we got?
Well, we're having a lot of people contacting us about your Liverpool gig, Frank.
Well, that's good, but we don't want to do it. I'm very happy to read the praise, but I don't want to read it out because
He doesn't want to launch into another rant about UNESCO, so let's keep it tidy.
Oh, don't worry, Al.
I will look at those because that's lovely.
I've filleted out the more praiseworthy ones.
You did a fillet. Praise fillet. Carry on.
I'd like to kick off with Dr. Troy Kane Astart, who says, I would love to see some snaps of Omar's outfits. Dr. Troy also says, especially if accompanied by fashion correspondent Dean's commentary.
Well, we went in a shop once. I can't remember where it was. When we was on tour, and I'd never been in a shop like it. It sold the most garish and colourful things. And I thought, where do you even get these clothes? They were really so extravagant, and we were in there, I would say 50 minutes, and Omar must have spent 400 quid in there. And
he's doing well,
and he just bought all these fabulous, but he wears it well. If I wore them, I'd look a bit, let's say, Brandrethian. I'd look distinctly Brandrethian. Or even
Lord Rethian.
Or even I'd look Milletian, maybe. Timmy Milletian, but he looks cool. Yeah.
Al, I'd like to share another slice of Liverpool life with you. We have Nicky Jones. No, I'm going to go first with Joe B.
Okay.
Joe B.
Telling you please don't slag my gig.
Joe B says, brilliant show at the Liverpool Empire.
Good of him to write that, because being the president of America must be quite busy.
Joe B says, brilliant show at the Liverpool Empire. Came from Stoke and wasn't disappointed.
Now that is my new publicity thing. Came from Stoke and wasn't disappointed. I mean, come on. That's on the posters. Joe B.
I want to know if Emily has a ballpark figure for how far that is.
Yeah, come on, Stoke to Liverpool, Em.
Oh, thanks for that, Frank.
No.
Okay, do you know, I actually know this, I think. I'm going to guess. I think I remember driving to Liverpool once to the football.
Yeah.
And I got as far as Stoke before thinking I can't go on, I need a break because it was too long.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, in terms of driving, is it about 45 minutes in the car?
Well, I don't know what that means. I mean, truth be told, I drive at a regular 95 miles an hour on the motorway. I don't.
Alan Cochrane, is that accurate?
I think you've got it about right. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but that sounds about right to me.
I'd say, isn't it about 90 miles, Stoke to Liverpool?
I don't think you can do that in 45 minutes.
Well, speak for yourself. It's the point of having a motorway if you're not going to get that pedal down. No, can I say I don't? Obviously, I do a steady 69. No, actually, I won't. Can we do that again, Paul?
Oh, my God.
Goodness.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Where were we? Well, oh yes, I've had on the subject of gigs, because I've been doing my much postponed gigs recently. I had a nice letter from Brendan Palmer from Birmingham, because I did a couple of gigs at the Alexandra.
Lovely.
In Birmingham, and what's very good is he does about 8 catchphrases from the show in the letter. They're peppered throughout. So he says, it begins, hopefully my writing is legible. When I learned handwriting, I rather didn't try.
Oh, that's first class.
I knew a posh doctor who said to me when I praised his handwriting, yes, when I did handwriting in school, I rather tried.
I believe he was taught to write by the Traitor Blunt.
Traitor Blunt's brother he was taught by. And then there's a who knew and etc. And... anyway, I can't do the whole letter, but it's a very funny letter. But there's a bit where he says, now this is praise, but this is the kind of praise that wakes me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Because it says that he loves the podcast, and he says, I love the laughs, smiles and warmth of your podcasts. Now there's a declining list. Isn't it? That's a pyramid of doom. Laughs, great. Smiles, not so good. Warmth, have we hit that? Have we hit that plateau where we're doing warmth?
The way of reframing this so that you stay mentally positive about it is that you have to think that he's going in an order of descending volumes, so there are more laughs than smiles.
I see. Yes, like it's like the league.
Warm.
Like he's ticked off what's happened and laughs have won.
I'm trying desperately to keep.
No, that's very good of you. And
positive on this.
I reach out for you as the bubbles reach the surface. I'm reaching out for your straws to save me.
I mean, it's rare I'm the positive thinker in a conversation. No, we'll go with it.
This is a moment for us all. It's self-help from Alan Cochrane.
Yeah,
right. So, and I say there's lots of funny stuff in the letter, but there's one particular thing I like where he says, I'd love to have your autograph, which I will send to you, Brendan. It says, the only other time I've asked for an autograph was Johnny Briggs. And you think, oh well, I'm now shoulder to shoulder with like quite a big time TV high rating star. And then he says he was buying a microwave in Curry's Merry Hill Centre where I used to work. Merry Hill's a big shopping centre near where I lived. It was Merry Hill Streep, I think, was named after it.
Oh, for goodness sake!
But then he says. So I got the autograph for my ex-wife, and to be honest, I'm not a fan of either of these people anymore. Briggs
people
or the ex. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Brendan. Well,
I wonder who he's got more affection for. Just sort of vestige it. I wonder if Briggs edges it.
Well, Briggs, of course, no longer with us now, so that always brings a golden tingle.
And Briggs, as you know, can you both remember, talking of regulars, what Briggs said to my mother about acting?
Something about just remembering the words and then going home?
Say lines, you get paid, you go home.
Yes, I think Johnny Briggs, cynical in that moment. Unnecessarily cynical. But nevertheless, he signed that autograph. I would have got him to sign a microwave. And then you've got that forever. Anyway, that's not going to happen now. So I've learned to live with that moment. That ship sailed.
Frank, can we do a little tease?
Go on.
Soon we're going to find out the distance between Stoke and Liverpool.
Oh my goodness! I said 90, and you said 45 minutes, which I think is. You could say, oh, yeah, well, I meant supersonic jet. Or you could say, oh, I meant cycling. So you win. You're on a no-lose situation.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I'm thinking I went a bit long on Stoke to Liverpool. I'm not sure it is.
What was your guess? Did you give your guess in times or miles?
No, in miles, and I went 90, and I don't think it's quite that.
At least you attempted a distance. I just said it takes about 45 minutes.
Do you want to reform it to a distance?
No, because I can't, because I now know the answer.
Oh, do you? Okay, that's very,
I had
very
to
decent of you.
I had to really bite my lip when Emily said it in non-miles, because I'm exactly one of those people that goes, I'm sure you want to give that in miles rather than minutes. You know, in fact, I actually said the other day to my wife when she gave me directions, I said, she said, it's by that white car, and I said, you really shouldn't use cars for directions because they move.
Yes. Well, I don't use timings for things because I think men can't possibly tell the truth when they talk about the timings of journeys. I was once in a bar where they talked about driving. I was in London, they were talking about driving to Edinburgh. And this bloke said, yeah, it took about 5 hours. 5 hours? 5 hours? And he thought, oh, God, I've not been male enough. Well, that's like with a couple of stops. And then the other one says, no, if you go, you can do it in 3. By the time I left the bar, it was like, you can do it an hour and a half, and that's with a petrol. I thought, I've got to get out of it, the testosterone. I can't breathe for testosterone. It was,
well, I don't know if this is a testosterone answer, but we've got from 274 the distance from Stoke to Liverpool, and it has a lorry emoji in the reply, so it's sort of lorry Robin. I think it might be a trucker, which means that we could also get some updates on the HGV driver crisis in the United Kingdom.
Is there an HGV driver crisis?
Apparently there's too few by like tens of thousands.
When I was a kid, it was a thing that people used to talk about as their dream. You know, when people say, I'm living the dream, it was always about being an HGV driver. And people would say, what I'm going to do, I'm going to join the army for 3 years, and then I'll learn to be an HGV driver.
So,
wow.
Stoke to Liverpool is 57 miles from Dresser Robin.
Were you?
Yeah, you were a bit out. Emily, I think 45 minutes is probably all right if you were to achieve a steady 70.
Yeah. I reckon I'd do it in half an hour.
With a stop.
Yeah, with a stop, obviously.
May you not meet any police on the way.
Speaking of with a stop, I go back to Omar, my tour manager, and he's Pakistani, and he cooks a lot of amazing food. And he said, shall I do a chicken curry and we can stop on the way? And I went to eat that, and I said, yeah, that'd be great. So he turns up with the... and he says, we'll stop at the services. So I got ready to eat it in the car. And he said, no, I'm Pakistani. We'll take them into the services. He said, I think he said him and his sister send each other photos of Pakistanis eating at services out of Tupperware. It's a tradition I didn't know about. So I said, we can't do our own food. We're going to do our own food. That's like the biggest, that's one of the biggest crimes ever, own food. I dread them. And I ate it, but I was thinking someone's going to come over and say, excuse me, where did you... but no one did. It was fine. Did it pass
quite without incident?
It was fine. And he hadn't even done rice. He'd done this thing with cauliflower to avoid the carbs thing. It was beautiful.
It's opened up a whole new world.
I never knew you could do that. I honestly felt like I was like drug running in the Middle East. I really felt like I was life in the fast lane, which I suppose would be the ideal. I own food at a motorway services. Who knew?
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website. I think Gareth Richards was saying to me that his grandfather was a street preacher in Cardiff, which is where they must be from somewhere near Cardiff if they're Welsh.
Yes, I believe so.
Could Gareth Richards' grandfather be the manic street preacher of their title?
The originale.
What about it? That'd be a great story.
Can I share some communiques with you from our good people?
Oh, sure.
Nicky Jones, we were talking about what seems to have been a fantastic gig, Frank, at the Liverpool Empire.
Oh, sorry. I mean, don't forget the praise fillet.
Nicky Jones, I like this sort of missive. She says, it's not the usual kind. You'll see. Nikki Jones says, Liverpool Empire, fantastic show last night watching Frank Skinner. I laughed from the warm-up to the end of the show. A big well done to all the staff who worked tirelessly throughout. It's been a tough 16 months for us all, but all the staff, you made a great night perfect.
Okay.
So, are you the staff?
No, I think the staff, that's someone who thought I'm going to be off the people here. I'll give him a bit of praise, but let's stick with the staff. Is this a member of staff at Liverpool Empire?
I've done some research, and I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think you are included in
Doesn't
the
she
staff.
say it's been a tough 16 months for us? Does she mean the staff? Was that a slip? Well, anyway,
Because it could mean the audience members, like they've been starved of entertainment.
Yeah,
and then
That's what I assumed it
enabled
meant.
that to happen.
Yeah,
I
well,
think
I
you and Gareth are
suggested
the staff.
that I was the ramp between no entertainment and entertainment. That's why I was the first act back. I'm just sort of getting them used to the idea that there might be entertainment soon.
And Dr. Troy Kane Astarte.
I thought we already had him once.
Well, we have.
Yeah.
You mentioned he referred to Omar's outfits.
Oh,
you may
yes, yes.
recall. He's a researcher in the history of computing.
Is he?
Yeah.
Who is
He will, I tell you who he'll be doing. Who's the woman who was Byron's daughter, was he? Who was one of the... She worked with...
Yes.
with the first Mr. Computer. Oh, it's terrible
She worked
when you
with
get
Babbage.
old. She worked with Babbage,
yes,
she did.
I know her
Yes, yes.
name. I will
It'll
come
come
to it
to me.
presently. But Dr. Troy Kane Astarte has done a lovely callback to Joe B's remark, came from Stoke and wasn't disappointed.
Yeah.
Dr. Troy says, I came from Stoke, I wasn't disappointed, to the tune of Common People.
Oh, yeah, it does. That works great, does it? Came from Stoke, I wasn't
Very good.
disappointed. I arrived like the anointed one.
Talking of the anointed one, we've had...
Here I am.
Yeah, I don't know, Al, I don't know, do you think I should tell him this? Basically, Lincoln Cathedral have got in touch with us, Frank.
Okay, well, I visited there on my tour and spoke of it at length.
You did. Last week, you said you'd gone to Lincoln Cathedral and it was beautiful from a distance, but ramshackle up close.
Yes, but I should point out here that I regard ramshackle as more beautiful than beautiful.
Can you hear that? Is that an 18-wheeler you hear reversing out?
Can I say I went on the official tour of Lincoln Cathedral, and the guide's main point was, I know this looks perfect, this ceiling. Look a bit closer and you'll see that isn't the right size, and I like that. It was a very human building.
Well, your reversal is timely,
Okay.
because Lincoln Cathedral have got in touch with us. The
yes.
actual cathedral.
Yes. That's strange. Was it what a gargoyle spokesman said?
Lovely long nails, though.
Oh.
A Lincoln Cathedral spokesman said, ramshackle, Frank? We prefer Sorry, I'm laughing so much that you can't.
Handbag.
Ramshackle. We prefer unique and inventive. Anyone can make regular vaulting and have all their architecture neatly arranged. We love our misaligned roof and mismatched windows. I know the feeling, dear.
Yes. Well, I love them too. I would recommend anyone should go and visit Lincoln. That's
you
not
paid
a
for it?
refer. I did, yeah, I did. I paid.
It wasn't like a celeb backstage.
Oh,
pass to
no,
Lincoln
it was. And I
Cathedral.
thought it was going to be, and I tried my best, but no. I paid. But, fair enough. It's all good for the upkeep. As Mr. Keepy Up said to me when I met him in Tokyo. It's the world's best Keepy Up man. I wonder if he uses the word upkeep like that for Keepy Up. Well, he was Japanese, so I doubt he uses the word upkeep at all. Though he's
Okay.
called Mr. Keepy Up, so he has a certain westernisation theme. Okay.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Ultra Magnus, one of our regulars,
Oh, yes.
he has said, continuing the Lincoln Cathedral theme, he said, with Frank's mention of the official tour of Lincoln Cathedral, it makes me wonder if they have a problem with unofficial tours. Maybe telling you all the things the official tour doesn't want you to know.
I think there were some Imagine if you did a bootleg tour of Lincoln Cathedral. Funnily enough, the bloke who was showing us around, another tour guide who'd just finished his tour, said to us, the assembled followers of our tour guide, he said, he doesn't actually work here, this guy. He just comes in, he seems all right. It was a sort of, it's what I call Anglican comedy.
It could have been one of those many a true word spoken in jest scenarios.
Well, he could have been a rogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the idea that somebody's doing that. I mean, you just imagine, and, God bless the Church of England, but I can't imagine everyone would be too polite to say anything, wouldn't they? So he'd do it for years.
I found myself thinking of exactly this chat the other day when you told us recently that you'd paid to do the tour of Lincoln Cathedral, because I'm soon to be spending a little time on a staycation in Hereford, and they have a cathedral.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, I knew you'd know about it. I just knew. But when you Google Hereford Cathedral, it comes up with quite a lot of questions. Is Hereford Cathedral free? And indeed it is.
Oh, is it?
You have to pay £6 to see Mappamundi and the Chained Library.
Okay.
Which I thought
the
would
Chained
be right up your
Library,
street.
yeah, exactly. I think
you with your friends in that community.
That's in Frank's basement, isn't it?
I think I might have some overdue copies from there.
I know you're a fan of a fine.
Yeah, well, exactly. No, well, I should say the tour was free, but you had to pay to get into Lincoln Cathedral. I know it's a very fine line. It's not bad though. Family ticket's about 20 quid. It's not the end of the world.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's worth it.
Well, we send you all our best, Lincoln Cathedral. And can I just remind you, Frank is, I think he's cleared up the unfortunate, let's call it the unfortunate ramshackle gate.
Yes, I think ramshackle was, maybe it was the wrong word. It's the human frailty.
What he meant was more like, as I believe they said in Clueless, the Monet, or Monet as they said.
What did they say?
They would describe, I'm afraid it was women, because we didn't know. She's a bit of a Monet. Or like a Monet water lily painting.
Yes. So if you get close, it just looks all blurry and difficult. But
it's a thing of great beauty. There you go.
Yes.
At some stage today...
what I like about it's a version of beer glasses. It's a sort of Chattering Classes fancy artistic version of beer glasses, because it mentions Monet. Don't make it no different. This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio? No, it's past. Don't worry.
Should we explain that to anybody that might be wondering what's going on?
On the hour, I sort of announce who I am. Just as it's more of an aide de memoir for me, really.
Yeah.
But it's just that there's certain movements that the producer does around the hour that she was doing on the half hour.
Right.
Okay, well, this is quite a lot of
I'm not blaming her. No, you don't want to hear this.
Okay.
By the way, I have an apology. I think correczione, ole, ole, ole. The finest simulation of an authentic football chant I've ever heard. You would think that was 10,000 people chanting that.
At least.
I think I was saying beer glasses, which I think people call them beer goggles. And beer glasses is more confusing because it sounds like the receptacles from which one drinks beer.
I mean, I know, but I mean, come on.
I'm sure it was beer glasses in Birmingham. I think when I lived in Atlantis, we called them beer goggles.
Mm-hmm. Beer glasses is fine.
Thanks.
I think people are very forgiving of such.
Do you? I find people remarkably unforgiving generally.
I find people forgiving now.
That specific slip on this show.
That, okay, yeah.
The wider readership.
Encountered a platform called Twitter. Pull up a chair.
There's outrage on it a lot, isn't there?
Outrage.
That's
Normally
one of the
over
main reasons I'm not
punctuation.
on there.
Is it overpunked today?
Yeah, but they're always incorrect.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
I say they. They'll say, you can't say that. And you think, oh, I can't reach down that far.
I often think that.
For God's sake.
So, no, I was thinking of, stuff like putting my shoes on. It was
You've
an age
changed.
joke. It was rude.
I'd like to discuss Tom Daley.
Well,
I'd
let's
like to
just
bring
do
up
him
some-
today and see how it goes. I don't want you to commit to a regular discussion. Yeah,
You
Tom
don't think
Daley.
we should do daily news?
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, lovely.
He's been in the news. I think the last time we discussed him, it was about his frying pan,
Yes,
wasn't it?
his big
It's,
multi-sectioned, compartmentalised frying pan.
the
I don't want
master
to sound
pan.
bitter, but I believe you then got sent one. And,
I did get a free one. Yeah.
Emily and I, not so much.
I'll
but
tell you what
did.
to use. I use it daily, that giant frying pan, and yet I assumed that I would get a similar physique to Tom. I thought that's what he was. That was the whole deal.
It was his cooking implements that was
Yeah.
not rather than
Well,
the somersaults.
He's
constantly.
slimmer. He's slimmer than me now. Still, I think it's
Yeah.
fair to say.
You see, it's a shame because Daley Thompson got there first with the name, with the potential for puns, but of course they didn't have the branding opportunities then.
Daily Thompson,
No.
Daily Tom,
Yeah. Yeah.
Christian Daly. That's the one I read. No end to it. Anyway, I should say he got a bronze medal this very morning. Tom
Did.
Daly.
Spoiler alert, if any
So,
of you are recording it like the likely lads.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a bronze. No one's going to go, oh, I didn't want to know. Anyway, so well done, Tom. We like Tom on the show.
Oh, Sir Thomas of Daley. Sir Tom Daley, it's got to happen, hasn't it?
I would have thought.
Eventually.
He's
yeah.
moments away.
I think we're getting waved at, so we're going to leave it on, and then we'll discuss Tom's week, which has been eventful, I think, in the extreme.
Frank Skinner,
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
You know what I've just done? I've just bitten the inside of my lip. You know when you do that and you get the blood blister come up?
Oh.
I imagine like if the X Factor was being staged in my mouth, that blister would be the big button, the big red button that they press. Anyway, it isn't. You heard it here first. X Factor.
Good
The
visual
rumours about the
picture
X
painting,
Factor.
though.
Sorry?
It was a good visual picture
Oh,
painting.
thank you.
Though.
Thanks very much.
I admire that.
Pen
In a
picture.
broadcaster.
So Tom Daley.
Tom Daley, he's been knitting. He's been knitting poolside at the Olympics,
Knitting poolside.
and whilst having his triceps packed in ice, and the newspapers have obviously gone a bit mad about this, as if it's not really normal. But who amongst us hasn't sat poolside with ice packs on our triceps at the Olympic diving, knitting a cardigan for a dog? Who hasn't done that? Why are
Well,
they making such
there's
a
a-
big fuss?
There's a lot to unravel.
Oh.
For a start off, I've seen. I haven't seen the dog. I saw a cardigan he'd knitted for himself.
The Team GB
I like
one.
that one.
It was a nice. I thought, Tom, that is a nice cardigan, mate. You've done, and it's got Tokyo, but in Japanese lettering in wool on it.
And did you notice a slight judo jacket style to the front?
I'm all over it. I was going to
Yeah.
say, I looked at that. I looked at Tom's knit, and I thought of you.
It
thought
looks like a gi, as we call it in the martial arts
like a
community.
gi. Touch for
Although
the
if you
very.
took a
What
grip
about
of-
like a gi tucked for the very first time? I thought it had. We were just discussing it earlier, and I think Emily said it had a Starsky and Hutch feel. A PMG is
Oh,
what
yeah,
I would.
nice.
A Paul Michael Glazer.
Well,
feel.
can I also add to that and say that the chunky knitwear, the sort of I'm gonna call it a substantial knitwear, is very in season. In fact, there's a Kermit the Frog
Is it?
one I've got my eye on.
To introduce our guest star, it's what I'm here to do.
Does all the voices.
All the
doesn't
voices.
He? He really does.
Well, I was thinking if Tom knitted those, to order, he could charge the world because it'd be a daily original.
What would you pay?
Yes.
For a Tom Daley
But
cardigan.
like that Team GB one.
Yeah, see, I'm sure Tom being Tom, there'd be a charity element.
Oh, he's so lovely.
Yeah, so I think, you got to go like, what, $5,000 or something like that.
Wow-wee.
The charity bit would put me off. To
Depends on the charity. Well, yeah, you don't have, maybe
capitalism.
don't.
I prefer naked capitalism.
You could have a sideline with Tom where the charities aren't even bothered, and not no interference with charity, just Tom takes it
It's
cash,
just
cash in hand.
Cold, hard transaction. It's a transactional relationship.
But really, the boy can knit. I'm going to say.
Oh yeah.
And it's great because when I was a kid, every I'm going to say every woman of a certain age knitted. I didn't know any. My dad. Actually, I'll come back to this because this is.
Let's come back to it because I also want to discuss Tom's medal pouch.
I didn't see his medal pouch. That better not be a euphemism.
No,
otherwise,
out on certain broadcasts.
Otherwise, you can have the conversation with the heads of the apartment. I'm not.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Can we return to Tom Daley's medal pouch?
Hang down your head, Tom Daley. Hang down your head and die. Sorry, there's a song called Tom Dooley. I don't know if you know it. It was that period, a short period in the 60s when folk music became big and was charting, especially in America. And I think Tom
have a lot
Dooley.
of songs.
Yes. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. It's about an execution. Anyway.
Of course it is.
Good morning, everyone. Absolute Radio. That'll be a nice one for quite niche, but maybe I'll tell you who'd like it.
Go on.
The Pierpoint relative.
Oh,
who
yes,
listens to the
occasionally
show.
we're contacted by Albert Pierpoint's niece or something like that.
Great niece, I believe.
Yeah.
Albert Pierpoint
Very
Frank
niece.
was, just in case anyone's unfamiliar.
Oh, yes, Albert Pierpont was the official hangman of the United Kingdom. I don't mean the hangman champion. I mean he was a hangman. He hanged for a living.
Was he the last hangman of the United
He was.
Kingdom?
It's there's not much work in it now in the UK.
To
It's gone like dry stone walling, hasn't it?
Well, there's still a bit of that about, to be fair.
when you mention the official hangman, to paraphrase our reader Ultra Magnus, it makes me wonder if they have a problem with the unofficial
Well, there could have been some underworld hangmen, but we don't talk about. I don't want their relatives contacting us. Thank you very much.
No, they're too busy doing documentaries on Channel 5.
Yeah, probably.
So, Tom Daley's medal pouch, he made a number of items. He's been a busy bee.
Knitted.
He knitted a dog jumper for his Frenchie.
Yeah.
I believe she's called Izzy. Mm-hmm. It was a pink and mauve sort of jaquito.
A jaquito? What is that?
It's a term.
Like a jacket.
I sort of made up.
Jacket's in there somewhere.
Jaquito.
Yeah.
Jaquito. It's something I've said in fashion circles. It's a bit more bolero. It's a jaquito. I sound like Matthew McConaughey in Wolf of Wall Street. It's a fanduzzi. No, it's cropped. It's a little bit more
Oh,
Italian.
it's got elements of Matador jacket.
Nailed it. Frank, you've absolutely nailed it.
Okay.
So it's
Good
a little
shout.
jaquito for the dog. I wouldn't personally, even though I love dogs, as you know, I heart dogs, I worry about the dog jaquitos myself, only because dogs in knitwear, it's fine when Tom Daley does it. I look a bit like an eccentric widow in Miami.
Yeah.
That's what worries me.
Dogs in knitwear would be a very would that be as a website? There probably is one, isn't there?
I'm sure.
A specialist interest.
It's I'll tell you what it would work well with. I don't know if I've still got this, but let's try this. Hold on, can you keep talking while I'm searching?
Sure. And then the medal pouch, Al.
Hold it. Dogs in knitwear. Oh no! Sorry, no. It needs, I'm going to try that again. There used to be one that didn't have the crazy horses. I mean, can I say the jingle board is in disarray? But Dogs in knitwear. That could be like that could be what you get when you log on. I believe the phrase is.
Oh yeah.
Log on. Get me.
I worry about the knitwear on dogs because not for my own dog who doesn't really jump into sort of rivers or streams, but some dogs love the water, and I don't think wool is a good idea in the water.
No.
I'm no expert.
Also, my dog's very hirsute, as you both know, and sprouting up like a 70s man with a, when the tufts come up.
And the grim irony of Tom Daley's dog drowning. I don't think the media could cope with that as a concept.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. Emily Dean, Alan Cochrane. Text the show 1215. Follow the show. Twitter, Instagram, Frank on the Radio. Email the show via Absolute Radio website.
Okay.
There you have it.
So you're just sort of editing as you go and choosing the words you like to do.
It's a bit of I like to feel that I'm on this show a bit like, the improvising club singer who does a song and does it messes about borderline. Hey, you're going to lose my mind. You keep taking me out of the borderline. Borderline. Sorry.
Often a sort of rogue that when one is not necessary, just to sort of mix it up.
Yes.
Taking you to that borderline.
Yeah, or sometimes even, you keep forcing me to cross that old borderline. Just a bit of everything. Oh, borderline line. Yes, etc.
Oh dear.
Hey, we've had a bit of gossip from 770 Keith in Sunderland. We were discussing, as we occasionally do on the show, Albert Pierpoint.
Oh yes.
Why can't we do normal things like other shows?
Friend of the show.
Well, it's a bit late for that.
Hey, 12:15. Why can't we do normal things like other shows?
We don't want to do normal. We do some normal things. I like to think there's a nice little knitting, public executions.
Keith in
Actually,
Sunderland.
it's a French Revolution theme.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Keith in Sunderland has said, Albert Pierpoint used to drink in my auntie's pub in County Durham when he was going to hang someone at Durham Prison.
Okay.
He would never shake anyone's hand or talk about what he did for a living.
What a pro he was.
I'm like that before a gig.
Yeah.
He was one of those, bloke, he always turned up to training, Pierpoint.
Yeah.
You've never had any stories about him outside nightclubs at 2 o'clock in the absolutely dedicated pro.
He really was.
And also, of course, as I've said before, when he did shake someone's hand, he could guess their weight to within 2 or 3 pounds, and that helped him in his ropage.
He's much missed. Well, not to certain families, but...
No.
Yeah.
Frank,
Those families now.
can we please return... I'd like
Tom.
to do a bit of No, not yet. I would like to have a break from Tom.
Oh, okay.
That's not something his husband, Dustin Lance Black, has fortunately ever said.
Dustin Lance Black, though I spend my days in conversation, please. Carry on.
I would like to return to a subject that came up previously on our show. You asked people, I think it was what they've seen written in dirt on a van.
Yes, and I said, can we keep it breakfast radio friendly? Not everyone has followed that advice.
Al, what's your view of whether people have followed that advice?
Well, some of them have used the word dirty as a sort of a pun that doesn't transfer to broadcast radio.
References to wives and all sorts.
Oh,
that sort of stuff. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm going to keep
some Van Morrison anecdotes.
I'm going to keep it clean.
Okay.
Unlike these van drivers, Paul Folan. Let's leave you with this taster.
Okay.
Free Arthur Fowler. About 20 years after he stole that Xmas Club money.
Fantastic. I laughed. Because what I love about that, and it's like sometimes you do gags like this on stage, those who get it will love it all the more for the fact they've got it, and those who don't, well, Google it.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, Flanners has been in touch
Oh, yeah.
with a response to things you've seen written on the back of a van in dirt. And it might be one of the finest. I'm going to put it in our... It's got a podium position, I would say this.
Okay.
Flanners says this. I saw this written on the back of a muddy van. Psalm 51:7. That's all.
Good, because
I
then
was
people...
curious.
Yes, exactly.
So I looked it up, and it said, "Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow."
Oh, that is
good.
Very good indeed.
Was that your van? Are you sure?
That is... I saw one, I think it was in Birmingham, and someone had drawn Johnny Cash in the dirt, and it was a really good... a really well done drawing. It must have took half an hour.
What about this? Daniel Bond has got in touch to say on the back of a Fletcher's bakery wagon he saw written, "I see bread people."
That is good.
That is excellent. Well, this has been a rich vein.
Fabulous. And obviously there are the usual suspects.
Clean me.
Phil Salmon, for example, also comes in white.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
A lot of also.
Actually, the Psalm one is the most elegant version of "Clean Me" I've ever heard of.
Yes,
really. That's really.
But I
really
do like
work.
"Clean Me" though. I like the sense
Me
of the
too.
van is actually speaking through the dirt. I like that. It's got an element of when people who are hostages manage to get a little bit of paper out the window to a neighbour that says, "Help me, I'm being helpless."
And Joe,
I don't want to. I don't want to change the format, but 457 has said, not exactly dirt on a van, but under a train sign reading "Do not flush whilst the train is in the station," someone had added, "Unless you're in working."
Yeah, I thought
A little bit of small town rivalry there.
Yeah, didn't they have enough trouble with War of the Worlds without that happening?
well, there was Pizza Express, but let's leave that there. Dave,
yes, of course.
I'm afraid that, we all know what's sitting in the Woking chair now.
Yeah.
Dave Corbett.
It used to be West Bromwich Albion losing to Woking in an FA Cup game. But,
Yes, well, fortunately, someone's thrown you a solid in that regard.
Yeah.
Dave Corbett, Frank, has got in touch to say, "I changed "wash me" to "Joe swashed me." I like that.
Yeah.
Why the hell not?
It's better than a sticker as well if you're going to, because you don't want a swash sticker on the end of a van.
I have a question for both of you. This question to Frank Skinner first. What was the sort of car sticker du jour when you were growing up? I will tell you mine
I'm
presently.
afraid it was my other car's a Porsche.
Yeah.
Can I tell you what mine was? And this may be to do with...
There was I'm back in Enoch, but I don't think we should go into that.
Well, is this to do with me growing up in North London elite? A lot of people had the Solidarność, which was a sticker of solidarity for Lech Walesa.
Yeah, the
something.
Polish trade union.
Is that just a sort of Northwest London thing?
Yeah, we didn't have that in the West Midlands. I never saw that one.
Alan, any car stickers?
I've never heard of it. I feel like I need to listen to an episode of In Our Time.
Did you not have car stickers growing up?
We didn't have Solidarność.
No,
Okay.
no.
My other car is a Porsche.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a classic. And, of course, you used to have that thing of having a bloke's name and a woman's name on the son thing.
What were your
across the-
names?
I never had that because I never had a girlfriend until I got famous.
Wow.
Well, that's not quite true, but it was much more difficult, I found, in those days. I don't
we
know
could talk
what.
about this privately, or you could tell
I don't
everyone.
know what changed, really, but it did. It suddenly got much... Anyway, you don't hear about this while you're having your breakfasts. Have you seen that Nesquik now has gone into the breakfast cereal business? You can get Nesquik flavoured breakfast cereal.
Are you drowning and all your thoughts are coming back to you from your entire life?
No, it's absolutely true. The new variety, you know the variety packs, the little packs of cereal, now they come in cubes and you just
don't
pour
want
the
Oxo.
milk. You pour the milk into the packet and eat it out the packet. This is the modern world.
Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I heard Tom Daley interviewed this morning before I left for this building, and he did it. They asked him. He was in the final of the diving, and he said, "Yeah." He said, "I must say, I made a real dog's breakfast of the semi-final." He said, "Dog's dinner." He said, "I made a real dog's dinner of the semi-final." He said, "Okay, it was a semi-gourmet dog's dinner, but it was still a dog's dinner."
All right.
I didn't even know you could have semi-gourmet.
Yeah, but I love this.
Oh, it was a very nice qualification of the thing. I was thinking of the knitting thing. Is my dad used to knit nets for poaching.
Sorry, can you just break that down a little bit more for the
My
likes
dad
of
used to
me?
poach rabbits. And
Rabbit?
yeah, so what you do is you put the nets over as many holes as you can find, and you put a ferret down there. The rabbits run out and they run into the net.
Okay,
and then,
I won't be doing that.
No, but I mean, yeah, they were eaten. It wasn't. It was, you know.
Okay.
It wasn't sport.
But wouldn't it be brilliant if Tom Daley had been knitting poaching nets at the side of, wouldn't you? Well, you'd have been
Somewhat
impressed.
jarring.
Yeah, I suppose some poaching fish
thing
would be his
is-
strength.
But when he...
Imagine him pursuing a big carp through someone's
I'll tell you
private
what.
waters. Oh, God, it's Tom
It would be-
Daley.
It would be a bit of fun if he was to do the diving and just come up to surface with a fish in his mouth. That would be a real talking point,
man,
wouldn't
yeah,
it?
worth
Come
seeing.
on.
I should say, do you remember I mentioned my Auntie Lorna, who lives in Great Bar?
Oh, yes.
Who,
She's something of a regular on this show.
She used to knit. She knitted me a cardigan. Get this, aeroplane on one breast and car on the other.
Imagine if I said that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, how else do you
All the
explain?
modes of transport.
Yeah, and I heard from.
Was there a pedestrian around the belly button area?
No, I don't think
see-
there was anything in the lower half. I wore my transport on my chest.
We had a different... When I was growing up, my best friend Jane Goldman, who you're familiar with, my childhood best friend and current, but, you know, she had her sort of... well, it was actually her grandma, but grandma equivalent figure. She knitted her an Aladdin Sane jumper.
Wow. I don't think Auntie Lorna would have gone down that route. But I heard from Lily, who is Auntie Lorna's granddaughter, and Auntie Lorna's still knitting now, still in
Lovely.
Great Bar. So that's a fabulous feeling of family continuity.
Can I say something, though, boys? You know, if Tom Daley... The thing about knitting, because I do like the idea of it, but if a young male... strapping, let's face it, sportsman does it. It's quirky and a bit cool. Can you imagine if I got out my needles at an event?
I'd respect you for that.
No, you would. People would say, "Are
Me
you
too.
all right, dear? Do you
They
need
might.
a hand?"
But I tell you, when my mum used to do it, what I loved, and this is something I don't really have in my life now, is the paraphernalia. I love paraphernalia. That was, I mean, don't smoke, kids, but one of the good things about smoking was you had your lighter, your packet of stuff and all that, you know. And I don't have anything that requires paraphernalia anymore. My mum, I remember, used to have a thing that I really admired was a row counter, which used to go slot over the needle and she'd turn it with every new row she knitted. I mean, it was like...
It used to be so easy to buy presents for men. You just go to Smoker's Paradise.
Yeah, smoker's paradise. I don't think you could call it that anymore, could you? But can I say smoking is very bad for you?
Terrible.
Don't. Just don't.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Yeah, so that's knitting. We've done knitting now. I always think knitting was popular and then it was ruined by the good life.
Oh, really?
Because they used to, remember
yeah.
they used to knit clothes, they always looked ridiculous and terrible, and that put people off knitting. I think they did a lot of damage in that.
You're right there.
Yeah, Briars.
I think you're right.
Briars and
I've
Kendall.
never knitted. I know what.
Briars
I know
and
we're not
Kendall,
playing a game
enemies of
I've
knitting.
never-
Sorry, Al.
I've never knitted. I've never had a go at it.
You know what? That
I've
took
never dyed my hair.
I would like to say that took open courage for you to admit that
Thank
today.
you.
Yeah.
And I respect you. As I say, I like the idea of it, and I love a knitwear. But I just think I'm a bit too slapdash.
I know what you mean.
It's a precision art sport.
You're a bit Lincoln Cathedral.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of me.
It's not just Tom Daley that's been in the news this week. There's other British athletes have made the headlines, as it were. Ben Whittaker, a British boxer, refused to wear his silver medal on the podium and put it in his pocket. And people have weighed in. I mean, a lot of ex-athletes like Piers Morgan. Some actually.
Piers Morgan liked it.
He's not an ex-athlete.
No, can we say what the Americans say? Piers Morgan.
Yeah, I tell you what I think about. I think a couple of things. First of all, I noticed he's called Whittaker in all they refer to him as, and then Whittaker, blah blah blah. Remember, I was making the point last week that Jodie Whittaker is always called Jodie.
Oh yeah.
They think they've got equality, but way to go. So that. But also, I did think that when we got silver, I remember once in the Sonys. And they said you have to go to the, whatever it was, the Victoria Principal Suite to collect your certificate for the silver. I didn't go.
Well, you also...
Didn't go.
I can't repeat what you said.
Well, no.
To me, when we were presented with a silver or a bronze or something like that, and let's just leave it here, you said the hard edges made it problematic for you to...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I take. Especially if you're boxing as well, you've just lost a fight.
Yes.
Yeah. I felt for him.
Did you?
Did you explain, by the way, the medal pouch? He knitted a medal pouch. Tom
Daly did knit a medal pouch.
Not
he
the boxer.
said
no.
Tom Daly said
Couldn't do that with the gloves.
This will come in very handy. I need a pouch. I need somewhere to put my gold. My medal, which is lovely. So it's a special limited edition, as in there's only one.
That's great.
Knitted medal pouch. So to stop it getting... It's anti-scratch.
When I won Chap of the Year and was given my Planet Hollywood brown and tan leather varsity jacket, I remember I put mine on. Jurgen Klinsmann, who got Footballer of the Year at the same awards, kept his in his carrier bag and went out with the carrier bag. So there's a tradition of this. I think your medal, you do what you like with it. That's what I think.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Whittaker.
We were discussing Whittaker, and we should say that he made the news because he seemed a bit ungracious at winning silver, but he walked it back a day or two after. But when he first was interviewed for putting the silver in his pocket rather than wearing it, he actually said, "You don't win silver, you lose gold," and people thought that was a bit ungracious. Yeah. I mean, I mean, if I did that, if I said, "I don't want to be on at the Chuckle Factory, I just lost out on the chance to become an arena comic," it would seem a bit bitter, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I think we should.
If wives did that, if my wife said, "Yeah, you're all right, but I wanted the guy that broke my heart a couple of years before we met," it would seem a bit.
I'm with is it James Taylor who said, "If you can't be with the one you love the one you're with"? That's my.
I'll tell you what I think. If he's not happy and feels a certain amount of shame towards the silver, can you please spare a thought for the bronze sharers of the medal?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
They had to share the bronze.
Yes.
And I think what's much more humiliating is that the boxers all have to carry a mini bouquet of sunflowers.
I like that, you see. That is like the Tate and Lyle golden syrup thing, where out of... out of strength sweetness when it gets bees around a dead lion. There's nothing wrong. Look, I named my son after Buzz Aldrin. I'm fine with the second thing. Let's not forget Susan Boyle was second. She went on to greatness.
History not always written by the winners.
No, right. One Direction third. I mean, what? What? One Direction.
Well, he did a sweet interview, didn't he?
He basically said, didn't he, look, I was really worked up and upset that I'd lost. I mean, he's a good guy. He lives in West Bromwich. OK, he's from Wolverhampton, but people change.
He said if he loses FIFA for a couple of hours, he's not speaking to anyone for an hour.
He's the bloke, you think, if he's going to be professional, he's the one who's going to be... If he's that desperate to win, that's going to be a big plus, isn't it, later?
Well, Frank, also, I did think when he said if he loses FIFA, he doesn't speak to his friend. Can you imagine, Frank, falling out with a close friend over playing a game? Who would do that?
I could imagine.
Could you?
Oh, yeah, I could imagine. Yeah, it's happened to me a few times.
Yes, it has.
No, I like him. I'm pro Whittaker.
I tell you who I like is the mayor of Wolverhampton.
Now you've gone too far.
Offered Ben the ceremonial mayoral chain. The mayor didn't wear the sort of Sir Thomas More robes for his interview.
Not in Wolverhampton.
No. He went for the grey suit with the chain, which I quite like that.
Yeah.
It's sort of business mayor, not party mayor. And what I liked, Frank, he did an interview and he was a bit sort of... he was very proud of his association. I'm not saying he was boastful. No. But he was a little.
OK.
He said, I actually know the family pretty well. And then he said, and because of that, I mean, my phone has been ringing non-stop. It's going off now. And I thought, well, that's interesting, because who rings with messages of support these days? He doesn't get the texts, the mayor.
No, not only that, but if someone wins goals, you think, I don't think I must ring the mayor. It just seems, what is he, some sort of go-between? Can I say, before we go, I have to mention Sky Brown, who's the 13-year-old girl who got bronze in the skateboarding. I think, without doubt, the currently existing coolest human being.
Yes.
Listen to this. She lives in Japan and California. She's called Sky Brown. She's got a brother called Ocean, and they get up at 5 o'clock every morning to surf. Oh, man, she's amazing. I thought, what else could this girl have done at 13? And then I found out she'd won the junior Dancing with the Stars in America.
Oh, she did.
Too much. Wow. That's took her coolness down a little bit. But she was, check her out. Check out her skateboarding. It's absolutely, I think Buzz fell in love with her. I say she's too old for you,
I see a wedding coming on.
Oh, man, she is... outstanding. Look, it has been Olympic week, I think, on the show. I'm still, if I'm going to go back on show highlights, for me, it's still going to be that psalm on the dirty van. That was special. But it's been, lovely, a fabulous interaction from you guys out there. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for listening to us this morning, as ever. I love it. And if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, which is not out of the question at the moment, by the way, we'll be back this time next week. Now get out.
Listen.